G'day tubes, how's it going? Well, as you guys all know, I work at the cemetery and stuff here, and you don't really see much of like, you know, the embalming crap, because I don't do any of that, thank the frig. Oh, what an awful job that'd be. But I also don't do the cremation stuff here too, thank frig either, because that would be just as bad. But I did happen to find a video here that I wanted to show you guys. If you didn't know the process of the cremation and you know, cooking the guy barbecue, all that stuff, and processing what's left of him after, I got a video here I found that I'm going to post on my channel here, of course, too, and just sort of bring you guys up and show you how all that works. So I must tell you too that it's somewhat graphic, and I don't know what else you'd say for a word other than graphic, but if you're squeamish at all, you maybe shouldn't watch this video because they don't seem to hold anything back. They show you right from throwing the guy in the box right to scraping him out after, so it's pretty nasty. So just be forewarned that it's pretty graphic.
There was a little cartoon in the paper not all that long ago, and Grandpa was talking to his children, and the children were trying to get Grandpa to go ahead and make some funeral plans. And so he said, well, my first wife was buried on the West Coast, and his new wife now was in the central part of the country. And so the kid said, well, you know, you could be cremated. You could have half your ashes out with your first wife, and you could have the other half of your ashes with your second. Grandpa got this smile on his face, and he said, so for the first time in my life, I can be two places at once. When I started in this work, the cremation rate was 1.5%. Those of us that will survive in the future are the ones that have been able to become adaptive. When a family comes to us and says, you know, we would like to have our horse out in front of your building, a live horse, because our daughter or son was a horseback rider. We'd like to have the Harley Davidson brought into the building, and we'd like the ashes to be placed inside the saddlebags. We don't raise our eyebrows and look as though this is really unusual. We look at how do we make this happen. So this, what you're seeing, is really an evolution.
Well, this is our Bradshaw Celebration of Life Center. This is our new concept where we see the future funeral service going. Up until now, there has really been only one type of cremation, and that's the kind that most people are familiar with, which is flame-based cremation. There was a new type of cremation that has been developed, green cremation. Basically is a water-based cremation. We're the first in Minnesota and the second in the nation to offer it. I think for me, being the operator of a crematory, it's something that's very personal. And living here in a small town, we end up knowing a lot of the people who we serve. You remember one case especially where it was a father and his son had died in a car accident. And we didn't have the viewing in this room. It actually took place on the other side, which was never the intention. And the father said, can I come around and actually help you place my son inside? For him, it was, I was there when my son was born, and I'm going to be there in the very end also. It's really a big deal to be the last person that's there and performing kind of the final act.
Barium is a place for cremated remains, and each individual unit is called a niche.
Niche.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are all urns that fit in any of our niches.
Yeah, but you put them because they're decorative. Yeah, we probably don't have more than 15 or 20 years left, but I can figure it out. Anyway, yes, I'd like to look at this.
So do you have an estimate of what the cost of the building?
This building? Just under 30 million.
pretty neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot per square foot.
This particular wall just happens to be 10% more than the niches I showed you.
Because this is a nicer place. Come on.
Well, not because it's a nicer place, because it's a little bit more popular.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, how expensive are these?
They go from anywhere from $28,000 to $49,000.
I think the board is taking a cut on this. It's too expensive. Garage. How many people keep ashes in their garage?
I think we would all be surprised to learn just how many people retain the cremated remains at home.
Really? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
said,
it's a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah, but then if nothing gets done with them and that person should pass on,
but
then what happens?
Yeah, but I don't, what's the point of that?
You know,
He
what
said-
cremation does allow is for procrastination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't keep any of your ashes because you're outlive me anyway.
Thank you.
So. That's really something. That's amazing. Okay, well, this is very interesting.
There's so many different things you can do.
Lots of choices.
And I'm certainly sorry you're here. My sympathies, of course. Yeah.
When are you going to put Mom's ashes in? Now, maybe you know that already. Maybe you've got a Mom's cookie jar or her, you know, her antique Chinese pot. Or I mean, people get very creative. One of our funeral directors on staff here was at Disneyland and was on the Space Mountain. Isn't that Disneyland? Space Mountain, right? And somebody was ahead of them on the roller coaster, scattering their loved one off the roller coaster. And he's like, not kidding. So, yeah, I mean, everything is fair game at that point. Bad taste alert. New company turns dead people into ammo. 1 pound of Grandpa's remains is enough for a case, 250 rounds of 12-gauge shotgun shells. There you go. $1,250. Holy Smoke LLC will take care of it for you. Earthrise service, base flight with return to Earth, starting at $9.95. Launch to lunar orbit or the surface of the moon, $12.50. Yes. And then the ultimate Voyager service, launch into deep space.
The Celestis Earthrise Memorial Service launches a symbolic portion of cremated remains to outer space on board a powerful rocket and gently returns the precious cargo to Earth, creating a memorial keepsake unlike any other.
There comes a point when we need to figure out something to do with those ashes. You know, some type of burial or a committal service or scattering or whatever it is.
Some families will create a shrine. Some people I've known where they've taken the loved one and put them in the car, put a seatbelt on them, and take them for a ride. Or another person might put the ashes in bed with them and say, "Good night, honey." In other words, they create a false reality. You know, even though somebody might rationalize this, it's still not rational. In the sense that, you know what, they're not here. This is just ashes. This is not them.
Does the urn look okay and everything? Okay, good. I like that one. And we're just getting the coffee going right now and everything. And all right.
And that's your wedding portrait on the left?
Yes.
How long were you married?
65 years.
65.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah. Was good.
All right. I see your guests are starting to arrive, so I'm going to go ahead and put on the video now, if that's okay.
There is kind of this spiritual sense in Scripture that says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we must return. There comes a point when we must surrender. We must let that person go. I had several cases where several women, maybe 6-7 months after their spouse died, who had developed cancer and other serious illnesses because they had not let go. Cremation, yes, gives people a bit more liberty not to rush, yet it is very important that they do something.
I chose cremation mainly because of the expense of a funeral. And our thinking was such a waste people buy these big caskets. They put them in the ground, and in time they do deteriorate. So I figured this would be the only way to go. I also am going to be cremated. So we'll be together, of course.
We live our lives not terribly mindful of the fact that we are going to die. It's an easy thing to ignore.
As far as liking the options, burial, cremation by fire, or cremation with use of water, I don't like any of them. That's the bottom line.
I've told my wife that if I die, and it's possible, I want her to bring me home, lay me out on the kitchen table. She's got to wash me and dress me. And I'd like to be buried directly in the ground without a vault. I'd like my body to sort of become part of the cycle of life again.
If I were to die, at this point, my preference would, I'm still making my own choices, and it would probably be between burial or green cremation.
I suppose right now, if I were to die rather suddenly, my full body would be buried in the ground and I would not be cremated. So we're not advocating doing one or the other. And there are discussions out there about new traditions and such like this. Bottom line is we all have different traditions. So it isn't like we all have to follow one path. What a boring country it'd be if we all followed the same path.
The latest on Carrie Fisher. A source close to the Fisher family tells ET and The Insider that Carrie has been cremated. Some of her ashes will be buried with mom, Debbie Reynolds. A private memorial for the Star Wars actress is slated for Thursday. On Friday, Carrie's mother will be laid to rest in Los Angeles. The source also says a public memorial will be planned for months down the road. While nothing has been finalized, our source adds that Tom Hanks, Carrie's ex-husband Paul Simon, and Meryl Streep are among the invited guests. Meryl, of course, played a version of Carrie in the movie Postcards from the Edge.
I've always been less mad at you, Mama.
Meanwhile, the LA coroner tells ET that a security hold has been placed on the late actress's autopsy report. That means no information will be released to the public at this time. ET has learned that a hold is common for high-profile celebrity deaths.
Anthony Bourdain returns home. Just 1 week after Anthony Bourdain committed suicide, he's reportedly been cremated in France. People magazine is reporting that his ashes are now expected to be flown back to the United States. At the same time, Bourdain's girlfriend Asia Argento was seen with Rose McGowan and 2 other friends. The group was listening to the song Jesus Was a Crossmaker by Judy Sill, a singer who herself committed suicide when she was just 35. Argento also posted a photo that showed her back with the word saved superimposed over it. Authorities in the French Alsace region, where Bourdain died, have said there weren't any clues indicating foul play. However, toxicology tests are still being carried out in hopes that the family might better understand if anything might have led to Bourdain's suicide. His mother Gladys has said that Octavia Busia, Bourdain's ex-wife, will be handling the funeral as she is legally his next of kin. He also leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter.
Chris Bargo, thanks.